Okay, quick video to show using this test box with this inclinometer to measure angular position of the inclinometer on this axis. This is an actual customer application, but I thought it would be a good opportunity to show the test box as well as the sensor. I just set this sensor to factory defaults, which you can do here. I don't want to teach zero. I don't want to teach span. I want to teach factory. So now it's teaching the factory settings to this, and this box is set up specifically for this sensor, and I'll show you how I did that. But now you'll see that it's actually considering that the 0 point with the connector up. That's the halfway point, so we should be getting roughly 2.5 volts. And then as we rotate this way, it's going to go the other direction. One thing you'll notice here is that the display, we have a 2 and a 4. 2 is pin 2, which is the white wire on the sensor. You'll actually see the label here. Pin 2 is the output for counterclockwise, and pin 4 is the output for clockwise. So if I go clockwise, you'll see pin 4 will increase, and if I go counterclockwise, pin 2 will increase. So these two outputs should always basically be working opposite of each other, and they'll cross over at the 2.5 volt point. So here, what do we want to do next? So let's go to menu, teach exit, yep. So as far as this box goes, I want to get it to, I think I'm going to turn it off and just kind of do it from scratch. Test box will now power down. This is a test box Turck came out with to test some of their analog sensors, but it will test analog and discrete. And I might have to do this a couple times, but I'm turning it on. It's giving me a battery voltage, says it's okay, and I can set to enter setup. What I'm setting up here is the functions of my pins. So here, I can change the function of pin 2. Right now it's on 0 to 5, which I want. 0 to 10 is an option, 4 to 20 is an option, PNP and PN is an option, as well as just ignore this pin altogether. So let's go here to 0 to 5 volts. We will set it. Function pin 4. This particular sensor has two 0 to 5 outputs, so we want this to be the same. But we'll still scroll through the options. Some Turck sensors have one 4 to 20 and one 0 to 10. Some have two 4 to 20. So this allows you to set the test box to read whatever it is you would like to read. And then next is the teach function. And this is very important. By default, the box is going to be on off. I can scroll through this menu button and say manual hold set, so I can use these buttons manually to send teach signals to sensors. But this is the really cool function when we're getting to specific Turck sensors. RI360 is a Turck rotary sensor. LI is a linear sensor. B1N360 is the single axis inclinometer I'm using right now. B2N is a 2-axis inclinometer. R16 level probe. So it's actually got some settings set up to teach the appropriate teach commands based on the appropriate teach wire for each of these Turck sensors. So I want to go to B1N 360 volt. So this box will now know the correct pin and the correct duration of teach signal to make changes to the sensor, and we'll show that here. So I'm on the B1N 360. Auto off 10 minutes. That sounds good. Let's do set to exit setup. Now let's do menu to go read our values. So now you can see that we are reading what's going on here. So now I want to change this from a 360 degree to this very narrow, actually total of 45 degrees. So it's going to be -5 degrees going clockwise to plus 35 degrees going counterclockwise in relationship to what the customer considers 0. And they want to mount the sensor like this. Okay, so to do this, we want to go from just display into actual teach mode. So if I push the set button, it's telling me to teach the 0. In this case, this is our 0, and I'll show you why this won't work exactly, but I'm going to hold that there, push the menu button, and you'll see the display will kind of freeze up. It's going to send whatever the appropriate pulse is to make this the 0 of our sensor, and now it wants the span. So we've just taught this sensor And I'm not teaching anything right now because I'm pushing the wrong button. Teach the 0. Here we go. Now let's try that. It's going through the teach process. Now I want to hit menu, go to teach span. You said move the sensor, hit set. It's teaching. You see the display change. Now it's going to go to 5 volts. So now we want to see a change from here to here, but that's not really happening. It's actually taught just the opposite of what I want. Right now, it's not giving me any variation really in this range, but it's taught the rest of the range. And that's because when it comes to teaching 0 and span, it considers the sensor moving in a clockwise direction. So really all that means is I need to, and I just hit the teach button, which I shouldn't have, but that's okay. Let's go to, now we want to teach 0. Now I'm going to put this as my 0. Hit teach. It's going to teach that in. And now I want to go to my span. Push the set button. It's now teaching the span. And now you'll see that the 0 to 5 volts, or the 0.1 to 4.9, is existing between my 2 points. And since these outputs are basically inverse of each other, then I can just use the appropriate one that starts here at 0 and goes up to 5 volts. Therefore, I would use pin 2, because pin 4 is going to do the opposite. So we have now taught this sensor. We're verifying what we've got here on the test box, and now we're ready to go install it, and it is set to go. So I hope this was helpful. Again, this was our single axis B1N360, and we've used this test box to teach it the appropriate 0 and spans for the application that we had. Hope you have any questions at all. Just please let me know. Hope you have a wonderful day, and go Turck, go.